In July 2014, MH17 was shot down over eastern Ukraine, killing all 298 souls on board, including 38 Australians.
MH17 was flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur when a Russian-made missile blew the plane apart over eastern Ukraine.
Today, nearly 11 years after the fact, the UN Aviation Agency has ruled Russia responsible for using weapons against a civil aircraft.
Russia has today been found formally responsible by a top UN body. The International Civil Aviation Organization ruled that the plane was hit by a Russian-made surface-to-air missile, breaking a law that prohibits the use of weapons against civilian aircraft.
No shit. Foreign Minister Penny Wong praised the decision by the International Civil Aviation Organization in a statement that said, "We call upon Russia to finally face up to its responsibility for this horrific act of violence and make reparations for its egregious conduct as required under international law." Now, Penny Wong has led the charge to get justice for the victims of MH17, but I wouldn't hold my breath for the ICAO to get compensation out of the Kremlin. You've got more chance of getting Putin to put a shirt on. You see, the ICAO has no real powers to compel anyone to do anything, and they've faced their own criticism in the past about a lack of transparency. So it's all well and good for Penny Wong to say this latest decision is justice for the families, but justice comes with punishment, and a decision from a toothless watchdog isn't that. The Liberal Party made history today. Well, technically it's the second time this month if you include a record election loss to the Labor Party, but today it was all smiles as the party elected former Deputy Leader Susan Lee to the leadership, the first woman in the history of the party to do so. Now, joining me to unpack what this means for the Liberal brand and where that brand is at right now, from the Australian National University, Dr. Andrew Hughes. Andrew, thanks for joining me on Newsworthy.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, everyone. Great to be here. Great to be on.
And so let's just rewind a little bit and talk about the federal election result. What does that tell us about the state of the Liberal brand right now?
Oh, it's trashed somewhere in the bin. It really, they've got to really sort out what they want to represent and who they want to represent as well. Their identification with emerging markets like younger people, and I mean by younger, I don't mean like 18-year-olds, I mean by Gen Y and below, is a big question mark at the moment for them because going forward, that's their future base. So if their future base doesn't identify with them now, that's the trouble for them going long-term into the future because it means then their vote will keep on eroding to a certain point where they probably hit rock bottom. And it's not even right now, by the way. I think had they changed their leadership today to Angus Taylor, it would have gone even a little bit further south because they have to move into the centre somewhere and they have to do it with a balanced way as well. A bit of a nod to the Conservative base, but also a nod to what Labor's just done to them. I mean, Labor thoroughly got them on leader, on policy, on messaging, but also on management of the brand itself. I mean, Labor did that really well during the campaign. It was quite remarkable that the Labor machine was so effective this election. If anything, they're the number one party machine now in Australia by a long way. And every other political party looks up to Labor as a benchmark of what they'd like to be. It's the aspirational political party. As Anthony Albanese said himself, he wants people to see Labor as the natural party of government going forward into the future. And that's what the Liberal Party brand needs to stop. They need to change that perception and be considered as an alternative government or alternative choice to Labor in that category. But at the moment, they're not there.
The first witness has been called in the federal criminal trial against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
A jury of 8 men and 4 women heard opening statements today, setting the stage for a legal showdown that could last 8 weeks.
Combs is charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
It was day one of the blockbuster Diddy trial, and unsurprisingly, it was a media circus.
You can see the media frenzy outside this Lower Manhattan court. In fact, around 20 fans camped out overnight because they wanted to make sure they could get inside that courtroom.
The prosecution's opening remarks alleged that Diddy ran a criminal sex trafficking enterprise and committed crime after crime over 20 years. In response, the music mogul's lawyer argued, and I quote, that Diddy is a complicated man, but this is not a complicated case, and the prosecutors were confusing sex trafficking with a swinger's lifestyle. In court today, the prosecution called 2 witnesses. The first was an LA cop who was working as a security guard at the hotel where Diddy allegedly assaulted then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in 2016. He alleged Diddy offered him money, which he interpreted as a bribe. And now the second witness called by the prosecution was a male stripper who offered graphic testimony about sexual encounters that had been paid for by the rapper. The male escort is set to take the stand tomorrow when the trial resumes. It's expected to last about 8 weeks. And it's important to note that Diddy has pleaded not guilty, has denied all wrongdoing, and has previously rejected a plea deal.